Who in this room knows that the Revolutionary War occurred for a fact? Were you there? Could you give me a first-person detailed description of the war? Well, what if I claimed that such a war, since I of course have never witnessed it, never happened, and that all the historians and books and antique relics from that period could not convince me that this war ever took place? That is how ridiculous it sounds to me when someone tells me that evolution is not a fact, and that it shouldn't be taught in schools as such. Evolution, although called a theory, is considered by many as factual, based on the overwhelming empirical evidence that supports it. As a biology student, I believe it's critical to set a standard in education in which evolution is embraced as fact and taught in public schools. Today I would like to discuss with you the following. Evolution is a widely accepted fact. Refusing to teach it in public schools is detrimental to our children's education, and therefore to our future, and also, specifically, where education reform needs to happen. To begin, what exactly is the theory of evolution? The theory of evolution is a means to explain the origin of life on Earth. It has been discovered that the life you see today on planet Earth began as a much smaller life form that through billions and billions of years of adaptations evolved into more complex life forms. Charles Darwin was a pioneer in this subject. He came up with the concept of natural selection, which solidified the argument for adaptation in a species, and he did this all despite the fact that he would risk religious persecution for coming up with such a outlandish at the time theory. This is a book that he wrote, Charles Darwin on the Origin of the Species, that actually goes through and explains natural selection that he witnessed in nature during his trips to the Galapagos Islands. And this is actually the graphic novel I bought for my 7-year-old son, who is very interested in science, and I would definitely recommend it for anyone. Scientists, even now, continue to pursue this explanation of life, and they've uncovered many fossils that show evidence of evolution. We've even found a fossil of a single-celled microbe that dated back 3.5 billion years. A common misconception is that we evolved from monkeys, and I think that throws a lot of people off. And the answer is no, we didn't exactly evolve from monkeys. Somewhere between 5 and 8 billion years ago, we shared a common ancestor with great apes. It's a lineage that branched to become the apes you know today and the early forms of humans called hominids. After early hominids branched out, many human-like creatures existed, including the cavemen. A lot of them fell out of existence because they didn't adapt or couldn't adapt fast enough, which is where you get the term survival of the fittest. And thankfully for us, our particular genus, Homo sapiens, had evolution on their side. We were able to adapt, and here we are today. This, of course, just barely scratches the surface and is kind of a gross oversimplification of the whole concept of evolution, but my main point is that it is based on irrefutable evidence. Evidence that's tangible, that we can see and witness even today that's occurring. It feels like nails on a chalkboard when I hear someone say, "It's only a theory." Although you'll hear it called the theory of evolution, many fail to recognize that the word theory has a whole different meaning in the scientific community. In science, theory means an explanation of facts. We have the theory of gravity and the heliocentric theory. And I think that we'll all agree that these theories are actually facts. We're not floating around with no gravity, and the last time I checked, we still orbit the sun. Granted, we also have laws of gravity, but what a law does is describes facts, and a theory explains facts. It's a menial difference to some, but suffice it to say that the theory of evolution is so far the most viable explanation for life here on Earth. Next, I invite you to consider how not teaching evolution in public schools can affect us all. We invest in our future by educating our children. The field of STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, is in desperate need of interest. We can't evoke this interest in our children when we've so severely hindered their education. By not teaching concepts such as evolution, or not giving it a place at the table, so to speak, we essentially decapitate biology as a whole. biology is so deeply rooted in evolution, you can almost consider it a mutually symbiotic relationship. You can't really have one without the other. Without generating excitement in biological sciences, I mean, after all, if we weren't teaching evolution, biology would make no sense whatsoever. Without exciting this interest in biological science in our children, we have fewer future medical advancements, fewer environments being saved, fewer animals being conserved, and more resources being used. It is an atrocity beyond comprehension to handicap our children by withholding knowledge in the name of anything or anyone. Humans are meant to discover and inquire about our origins. How dare we not nurture our students, because in the end, we'd only be shooting ourselves in the foot. Finally, here's my call for educational reform. Okay, the bad news. Texas is one of the states that predominantly refuses to put evolution in their textbooks. Some more liberal biology books are allowed to have a small paragraph mentioning evolution, but a disclaimer is required in order to have the book published. Louisiana and Tennessee both have laws that allow teachers to argue for creationism in place of teaching evolution. And places like Alabama still have a big fat disclaimer sticker on their science text. Like literally right on the front of the science text there's a huge sticker that says, "This book contains evolution." And I mean, that's a bit ridiculous. Okay, let me backtrack a little bit here. There's nothing, I repeat, nothing wrong with teaching creationism or other theories in a homeschool environment. I have the utmost respect for all religions and creeds and their beliefs, but as for a public school, we have to teach the facts that are expected, that we're expected to know and understand for our future success. In college, I take an ecology and evolution course. I'm expected to know the theory of evolution, because in the world of academia, it is as factual as the Revolutionary War. Here's the good news. Organizations like the National Science Teachers Association are making continued efforts at helping teachers find the confidence to teach evolution, while being careful not to disrespect a student's religious beliefs. Something amazing recently has happened in my home country of the UK, where they actually banned all theories besides evolution from school. They're absolutely not allowed to teach any other theories, no creationism, no anything else except evolution. Evolution is accepted as hardcore fact. To summarize, it is my sincerest belief that we must implement a new standard in science education for our children by teaching them that evolution is a truth, not a guess or a belief. We must continue to cultivate the minds of our youth and inspire them to continue to inquire about our origins and expand upon what we already know. We evolved. This concept is critical to the field of biology, which is necessary for our progression as human beings. And reforms need to happen across the board in order for us to maximize our success. Today, I want to leave you with a quote from Bill Nye the Science Guy. If we continue to eschew science and try to divide science between observational science and historical science, we are not going to move forward. We will not embrace natural law. We will not make discoveries, and we will not invent. Thank you so much for your time.